Hey guys, Deathloader Gaming here, and you probably heard about the new 10% tax on all gambling. Oh my god. It's as bad or worse than you're hearing. I'm not here to tell you otherwise, but I am here to explain it because a lot of people have been asking me about it, and they know that I know accounting, I know tax law. That said, this is not tax advice for legal reasons. And I know casinos and math, so they're all asking me about it, so I thought let's make a video about it, explaining it. So a couple little bullet points. Doesn't take effect until January 1st, 2026. My plan right now is, as a professional advantage player who makes less and less money as more people do it, I'm just going to retire from gambling completely in 2026. That's the plan, unfortunately. Now, don't unsubscribe yet, because if that happens, I'm going to dump my entire AP database just for free. January 2nd. If this bill doesn't go away, whole thing. Y'all can go beat casinos as well as I do. I don't care at this point. I don't care who I piss off. And how many people get mad that I gave it away for free. I'll just do it. So watch for that video. In fact, you probably should subscribe. So yeah, we got a little while. Do I think this is actually going to take effect? Yeah, I do. I don't know enough about congressional law processes. I know that they can pass a law, then they can like revoke a law, override a law, change it, amend it, whatever. But this is a spending bill. I think that's different. It's like a budget bill. I think you can only do that once a year. You can't revise or amend it, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong there if you know better. So I had a theory that he was going to say, oh, well, this clerk, this person who added this to the bill, they're the scapegoat. You know, we're going to throw them under the bus. Nobody even voted for that person. They weren't even elected. What is this crap? Hey, Republicans during the midterms, say that you're running against this and you're going to revise it, and then immediately after you get reelected, get rid of it. Write a revision or whatever that gets rid of that. Make a law, pass a bill, whatever you got to do, boom, it's gone. And then, like, this big boogeyman that they themselves created and he signed off on, yay, they defeated it. It's possible if it works that way, but I don't know if it does or not. So let's just assume that it's going to go into effect, okay? So the big problem here is, let's say you walk into a casino, you bring in $200, you win $1,000, so you walk out with $1,000. That's like your total, you made $800 profit. Well, this year you get taxed on the $800. And if you just said, want to bet? Yeah, I'll get to that. Next year, you get taxed on $820 because you're only able to write off 90% of your wager to offset a win. So how much you lost effectively, how much you're in for before the win happened. So what people are complaining about is if you walked in with 1,000, you win some, lost some, win some, lost some, and you walk out with 1,000, that's a problem because now you're getting taxed on $100 because you could only write off 90% of the 1,000, and then when you got back to even, okay, cool, but you could only write off 90% of your wager. So this affects professional poker players the worst. I don't care, not my world. What I care about is when I walk up to a machine and I go, oh, okay, the number on Magic Treasures Dragon is at 13. That's about 108% in my favor on average. I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it out because over the long run, I'm going to make 8% profit. Guess what's going to happen if I make 8% profit over that year by repeating that scenario over and over and over and over and over? And they tax me for 10% of my wager. Well, that's a problem. Now, it's not just per day, it's not per session, it's cumulative. So no matter who you are or what you're doing, keep a daily spreadsheet. In versus out per day. Because then at any time, you can just look at the cumulative total on the bottom. And know that you're up X per year or down X per year, and that should influence a lot of your decisions nearing the end of the year involving taxes. And then you can compare it to your total hand pays and, do some math. You're kind of required to do that anyway because they want to know how much you lost against it. But right now, federally, if in the entire year I risked $100,000 and made $110,000, I get taxed on 10. That's just how it works. It doesn't matter if I won $110,000 in one day and then did nothing but lose the rest of the time. It's the total annual year. So people are saying it's per wager. Oh, no. Every time I pull the lever on a $5 slot, I get taxed 50 cents on every literal wager? No, if you cycle your money 10 times, it's just the net result. And then the way my state does it, which is way worse than federal, we have the worst taxes I have ever seen on gambling in my entire life here in Wisconsin. It's average session daily, but non-cumulative. I'm not going to explain it other than it's terrible. It's if you won something on one day and you lost something on the other day, cool. You can't write off the losses because it was a different day. Screw you. Way worse than the current federal system, but the most I can get taxed on is like a couple percent. That said, I have owed the state money the last 3 years. Even by over-allocating my paycheck at work, I still owed them money. It's that bad. But federally, I only pay tax on what I made, which is cool. So that's how it works. That's the math behind it. That's the fundamental basis. So it does affect sports betting, which I think is ridiculous because that's somewhat skill-based. It does affect professional poker, which I think is somewhat skill-based. I think that's ridiculous. And their margins are ridiculously small. If they're like a pro grinder who like makes money, they just ended that. Yeah, it's over for those people. Somebody ran an estimate. It's like 95 to 98% of professional poker grinders are going to be in the negative. They're not going to have enough money to support themselves. They won't even make a profit after they've made a profit because their in is so high compared to their out. And they get taxed every single time. So yeah, that's crap. But like I said, oh well, don't care, not my scene. This also affects table games, which variable bets are taxed in a funny way. I don't know if that's still true today, but like if I bet $10 and I win 200, it was a variable bet, and like that doesn't really count even if it's above 1,200. Like it's this whole complicated thing. I don't even fully understand it. Other than if it ain't on paper, guess take a guess if most people pay taxes on it. Just saying. Well, that's tax too. There's no escaping it. I couldn't even find an exemption. It's anything that they consider to be a wager of any kind, which is utterly ridiculous. So they just ruined my business, but so did, the growing number of people that are all checking all the AP machines. They found out about this online, thought they'd try it, roll into my casino and start costing me money. So it's been getting worse and worse and worse to the point where we barely even walk out with 3 digits most of the time. And, $20 to $80 a day ain't worth my time. It's just not. And plus, this many years of doing it, 4 or 5 years of me just hitting the same machines over and over and over and playing the same way, getting kind of boring. It became a job a long time ago and it's not as enjoyable. And so to get paid less and less and less for something I don't enjoy much anymore, yeah, it was, the writing was on the wall. So I don't feel that bad, but yeah, it's crap. Here's the problem. Okay, so what's really going to happen here? Is it logical? I mean, it's stuffed into a bill that's already in the negative, which I am just livid about after all the, we're going to save money, we're going to balance the budget, and then come out with this, no, it's just $3 trillion. Bitch, that ain't balanced. Hate to tell ya. You lying sack of crap. Seriously, just veto it and say everybody who added their own little private special whatever thing for your home state, get rid of it, or I will name you by name and publicly shame you, okay? I'm going to veto this thing until the number's 0 or lower. Like it's not a deficit, like it's profitable. AKA a balanced budget. No, Trump just wanted his stuff to go into place faster, and he didn't want to waste a couple more months dicking around with that. Absolutely ridiculous and unacceptable. But anyway, so because of that, because it's already running into the red, I think they looked at like, okay, can we take it from industrial commercial? No. Can we take it from giant businesses? No. They'll just go to Ireland. They'll just move. They'll just whatever. They'll just lie on their taxes. They'll use more loopholes. And the whole point with the tariffs was to bring like business back here, so we don't want to then tax them an additional 5% because it's already going to be more expensive to sell the products anyway. So, we want to help them out on their margins, not tax them heavier. So taxing big giant industries, not a good idea. That's never going to happen. Individuals, well, they've already reached into the piggy bank of the rich enough times that they're losing half their wealth every year. They're getting taxed at like 48+%, when you add in Medicaid, social, all that stuff. So you can't really go any higher there. And plus the people who do that are Democrats, obviously. Taxing the poor is probably a bad idea after this much inflation, so where are they going to get their income from? Oh yeah, what exploded lately? Look at the numbers at any Native American casino. Vegas has gone up, but not that much, but just everywhere. It's insane. It is insane how much gambling has caught on. It's like 200, 300, 400% growth in the last like 10 years or something. Nobody really knows why. It's probably a combination of different factors. Probably YouTube, social media, better advertising. I don't know. Could be people just being desperate and stupid during COVID trying to make money, and they thought a casino would be a good way to do it. And then they just realized this is more fun than my other hobbies, cut out their other hobbies, didn't buy a $10,000 boat, a fancy bow, a fancy golf club, a fancy whatever you do for fun, and realize, hey, some of the time I get my money back for this. Why would I not do it? Yeah, and it's an enjoyable, fun hobby if you keep it real. Like if you're not like an obsessed person who's delusional, thinks they're going to always make money, unless you're willing to put in the time and effort to become a professional advantage player like me, which most people aren't. And I believe I just mentioned it gets really boring, grindy, and annoying and just turns into a job. And at a certain point, I'd rather just go back to driving for Uber because 1, it would make more money, and 2, it's more exciting. Thus why I started a gambling channel, because at least this is a little more entertaining for me. So they're like, wait a minute, those people are careless with their money. They're gamblers. Let's take an extra 10% out of their pocket. They won't even notice. Half of them are whales. And not half by like mathematical. No, it's like 1 in 1,000 people walk in with like $1 million to a casino. But they just figure, oh, they're throwing their money away anyway. Might as well grab 10% of it. There's some truth to that. But I think business-minded people who are like rich because they're smart and manage their money well and are not careless idiots with it, which is the majority of rich people, ones that just didn't just like inherit it and didn't, gain anything, or they just like won the lottery or something stupid. Now they're just being an idiot with their money. Okay, cool. But the people who earned it and got where they're at by like working hard and making the right decisions and like being really intelligent, good with numbers, that kind of stuff, if their hobby is gambling and they bring $1 million into a casino, they win $1 million, lose $1 million, and they get taxed $100,000 on money that they didn't even make. You think they care about that 100,000? They just lost $1 million. They don't care. Or it says they broke even, whatever. But they're just like, okay, I got all the way back up. I got super lucky and I'm still losing money. This is just in principle. I cannot tolerate this, and the math behind this doesn't stand up. They didn't care about the money, but they do care about feeling like they got ripped off. And I think that's going to drive them out of American casinos. Now, these people could just jump on a plane for $2,000, fly to another country and go play there. And I believe they aren't taxed in money that was made outside the country. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I'm pretty sure that whether or not that's how it works, the IRS ain't going to find out. And then they said, well, anybody who just gambles online in the couple places where it's legal, if they're going to tax that, well, people are just going to go to overseas ones where they don't know about it. Now, if you win $10,000, how the hell are you going to get that back into your bank account? Okay, people are just going to like hide it in crypto and do all this like dumb stuff, try to launder it, which good luck in 2026 how to launder that. They'll catch you in 3 seconds with just AI, let alone analytics. So people are going to try dumb stuff like that, go overseas, take the business elsewhere, or just stop gambling as much, which I think they're just like, that's fine. You go with explosive growth in gambling, and if they like damage that by taxing it and it just kind of levels off, well, that's fine. As long as the number doesn't go down, they don't care, because then it's a consistent source of revenue from people who are still doing it and don't care as much about the tax. I think it's going to drive it down. I think everybody's basically done gambling either at the beginning or when they get a tax bill at the end of 2026. Now, that said, the small time people, the people who walk in with, a couple hundred, they don't get a hand pay every day or like 30 hand pays a day or 3,000 hand pays a year like some people you see on YouTube, where they got like a phone book full of W2Gs. Oh, no. Most people walk in with 5, walk out with 6 or 0, one of the two, depending upon how smart they are and how lucky they are. And that's that. Well, guess what? No tax form. The IRS didn't even know you were there, especially if you play without a card. So we're just going to get people playing without a card and just saying, well, I could get, 0.2% extra on my money with points, or I could just play without a card. And if I didn't get a W2G, they have no record with my casino's win-loss statement that I was even at the casino that day. So if you brought in 2, you won 6, they ain't going to hear about it. That's how quite a few people do it these days, unfortunately. But, I think more people are just going to effectively lie on their taxes for small to medium amounts. So if you're just like, I got, 5, 10 hand pays this year, 3 hand pays, whatever, 1,200, 1,500, 2,000, cool. You just pay the taxes on that. You go, yeah, federally, yeah, of course I had offsetting losses, sure. I think those are the type of people that would be like, wait a minute, hold on. So now I have to care. I got to track it daily. I got to like do this. And then if this happened, then I have to like hide it. They're just going to get disinterested and say, if I don't even know what my tax bill is going to be, and it's like 10% lower, you're like effectively adding a 10% edge to the casino. That's how people perceive it. That is not mathematically true. They're just going to stop showing up or start lying on their taxes and just play incognito off a card. And then all that tax money that they might have maybe paid, they're either lying about it or hiding it. Either way, it's the same thing, really. And that is going to lose them so much money. And then the average person just saying, I don't want a part of this. I don't even know how all this works, all these fancy numbers. I just know if I go into a casino and lose, I could get taxed on top of the losses. That's what I'm hearing on the news. I'm not going to a casino. And then the casual kind of rich gambler who throws, 1, 2, 3,000 at a trip every quarter, now they just don't do it. They go do something else. And that's going to lose them so much money. And like I said, the whales will just go to another country or just like pump the brakes or just whatever. They'll gamble with less. They aren't going to keep doing what they're doing when you subject them to an extra 10%. That is not acceptable by most people. So you're going to get liars, cheaters, and a loss of business. I think it's going to crush gambling. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If every single casino in all of America closed, I'd call it a net positive for society, just because so many people have problems with it. Like, I don't. My problem is I win too much. We're in a hell of a downswing right now, so it's ironic saying that, but we've lost pretty much all of our winnings for the whole year just by bad luck. But you know what I don't need on top of that? 10% kick in the nuts on top of that. That's what I don't need. So if that happened in 2026, unacceptable. So like I said, I'm done. Okay, my average margin with AP play is like 15% if I'm lucky. I could play games that are only, I know, 3, 4, 500% in my favor, but they're few and far between, and there's going to be everybody swarming those. But am I going to try to hide my winnings and risk an IRS audit? Absolutely not. Am I going to try to illegally launder my money? Are you kidding me? And risk like federal charges and time in jail and fines for like 5 times the amount? Hell no. That's ridiculous. That's a bad gamble. That is literally a bad gamble, doing that. The risk versus reward, I wouldn't even consider it. That's so stupid. So if that's you, don't even think about it, okay? But yeah, this is terrible. I think it's going to backfire, and unless they can overturn it or change it in the next year and then act like they're the heroes, like I think that's kind of the plan all along. But if they're just going to treat gamblers like an infinite piggy bank, I think we could just see that number go up, actually, would be my guess. And if you think we're ever going to see the hand pay limit raised now, if they raise it from 1,200 to like, what is it, 5,700 they proposed, and then everybody can just walk in and win $5,000 and never tell the IRS about it, yeah, I don't think they're going to do that on top of this 90% thing. I really don't. Call me crazy. I think that'll never get passed, ever. That was already going to cost them so much money, it was dead on arrival anyway. So this is terrible. Absolutely terrible. But I think they're going to, that this isn't like grandstanding. It's like a big ask where they're going to like come in and cause the problem and solve it and act like the hero for political points. I don't think this is a long game, long con, because like I said, the thing's already $3 trillion in debt. This whole budget. So they're just like, I don't know, do this, I guess, gamblers, who cares about them? Just grab all their money. It's a very low impact way to tax a group that isn't going to affect the economy almost in any other way. So, yep, I think we're going to see a lot of casinos go bankrupt, unfortunately, but, it is what it is. But the amount of political backlash they're getting over this when it affects, like, sports gambling and, like, horse racing, like, if it's even considered a wager by any way, shape, or form, this is now susceptible to this. They just pissed off a lot of different groups of people. I think gambling's going to move underground. People are going to open small scale, like private little casinos and stuff and do some table games, run their own thing illegally, not pay any taxes, not tell anyone about it, and pay no taxes. So yeah, they just drove people into crime. Good job, guys. Great plan. Maybe next time just take enough stuff out of the budget that you don't need to do stupid crap like this. So yeah, utter garbage. Thanks, government. Wish I had better news, but I'll see you guys next time.